I mean, every writer, when they begin a book, even if they've written 5 novels, they want that next novel to be something vagrant, something that can find a new voice, in a way, that the voice I was talking about earlier on. And I think that's the real pleasure of that, and you're not quite sure what you're going. I mean, this book was written with a lot of uncertainty. First of all, I haven't written a book, a poem in 20 years, and it just became so essential for me to try and make it work, and obviously would draw something from my past, and draw something from the past in terms of my own life, but also in terms of what you learn about prose, and that language. And I think the Delillo quote is kind of interesting because it gives you a huge freedom to, if you don't have the basic rules of a novel or a poem, you can discover it, and it becomes more exciting, I think.
Yeah. And when you're making discoveries as an author, that's the best reading experience.
Yeah.
The other thing that I was thinking when you were reading is that passage that you read is, in thinking back on sort of your work before I actually picked up the books again, I was sort of hit by like a half dozen moments that just stayed with me, and I didn't always know which book they were in, but they were. I could
I'm
see
not
them.
sure either.
Yeah, it was like I had lived them, and there's one moment in particular that is just really stays with me when in The Cat's Table, when the ship goes through the Suez Canal, and there's just all this activity. Someone throws an orange on board, and there's just this amazing sense of possibility and aliveness. And then in the next chapter, one of the characters is obsessed with that moment also. So that made me...
And becomes a painter.
Yeah, and becomes a painter, and all of his paintings are of this moment. And so what I'm wondering is, for you, do you start with that moment, or do you come to that type of moment in the process, or...
I came to that moment. I was about almost halfway through the book, and it was almost like the landscape of a trip from Asia to England will go through the Suez Canal, which is like a halfway point. And it was like end of Act 1. And the end of Act 1 is always, especially if there hasn't been an act break, is always fantastic. If you think of all those movies, where Tom Courtenay on the train and something happens to him there. But that Suez Canal was like the end of an act. It was like a halfway point, in fact. And I had not an idea about writing that scene until I started to write it.
Wow.
And also I have to admit that I don't remember the journey to the Suez Canal much, which gave me a huge freedom.
Yeah. But like, how beautiful is it that you don't remember it, and then you create this memory in thousands of people's minds that are just staying with them as if they had lived it.
Yeah, complete fake.
Yeah. But it's like one of those super fake handbags that is indistinguishable from the real thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it often happens. I mean, sure, if you kind of ask some writer about what scene we remember of that book, they'll say, oh yeah, that one, I remember that one, but I don't remember it that well. And I do remember that one well.